a group of radical right-wing criminals assaulted peaceful and unarmed protesters with glass bottles, pepper spray, bricks, and brass knuckles. It appears that these attackers were members of racist and violent fan clubs for Israeli soccer teams. Netanyahu responding to these unsettling images, saying that the investigation into the incident in Tel Aviv is still ongoing. I expect the police will arrive at the truth. There's no reason for any violence. There's also no room for incitement or death threats against me and my family. With me now is Jonah Clarfield. He's an anti-Netanyahu protester who was part of the Tel Aviv demonstration, as well as Kan chief sports reporter Yoav Borowitz with the Kan Network. Jonah, I want to start with you and just ask about your fear, perhaps, at the next rally. Do you think it will be more violent? Are you worried someone will get killed?
Hi, Jeff. The answer is, first of all, I will definitely be at the next rally together with thousands and thousands of friends and people that are part of this movement. So there is fear. I was actually an eyewitness to the violence that happened yesterday. But if the question is the violence going to stop us from our totally legitimate political protest, then the answer is no, it's not going to stop us.
Tell me what you saw during the protest. Who were these people that were attacking the demonstrators?
So these people are far right extremist group to my knowledge, part of the football fans, soccer fans. They were dressed in black. They were wielding black flags to sort of blend into the environment. And near the Cinematheque in central Tel Aviv, they targeted a number of protesters and attacked them in a very well-planned attack. I wasn't there at the very beginning. I was there. I was several hundred meters further along when I saw them running through the protesters. I personally saw someone be attacked with a rock to his head, not by throwing, but by really wielding a rock and smashing it to the back of a protester's head, who fell down and was bleeding. I saw people who got sprayed by pepper spray. I saw the most terrible violence that is completely and utterly connected to the incitement that is being delivered by the government during this time of protest.
I want to bring into this conversation Yoav. Yoav, there are early reports in Hebrew media that this may be a soccer hooligan club linked to a soccer team from Jerusalem. They're called La Familia. It's an Italian phrase, right? But this is an Israeli soccer team, and they're radical fans. Tell us more.
Yes, actually, Jeff, the latest reports are that we're talking not about Beitar Jerusalem fans, but rather Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, a fan group called the Fanatics, which is very similar to La Familia. And we are basically talking about right-wing organizations, very violent organizations. About 2 months ago, I was threatened by this organization. 200 of them, I was just filming outside a soccer stadium and wanted to interview people. And suddenly a lot of people just jumped on me. It was very scary. And yes, reports in Israeli media is that they wanted to attack the protesters, and they also, among those protesters are also Hapoel Tel Aviv fans. So maybe they were looking for them more specifically. We do not know that. But basically the soccer culture here also became very violent, and in some ways very right-wing and very fascist.
Yoav, you mentioned there's parallel right-wing fascist-level groups from both Jerusalem teams and Tel Aviv teams. These groups, La Familia, the Fanatics, should they be outlawed? Will they be outlawed? Are they welcomed by the clubs?
They won't be. They're not welcomed by the clubs, but in some capacity there's even there's a connection between the club and the fan group. Although I know that in Maccabi Tel Aviv, the owner, Mitch Goldhar, the Canadian Jew, and also the people who are running the club here in Israel are against the Fanatics. But still, if you go into the stadium, you see the Fanatics being very strong in the stands. They have this fan leadership. So basically, I don't think those organizations are going to be outlawed. And you're not talking a lot of people. You're talking a few thousand people in each case is maximum. But their power is much stronger definitely with La Familia in Jerusalem, which has been a very, very dominant fan group in the last few years. And let's also say, Jeff, that also Beitar Jerusalem never hired an Arab Israeli player. And also Maccabi Tel Aviv in the last 7 or 8 years did not hire Arab Israeli players. After 7 years ago, there was a player there, but he got into a confrontation with the fanatics, with the fans, left the club, and since then they have not been hiring any Arab players. But we see that the problem is even greater than this, and we exhibited it last night here in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, this kind of steady march towards far-right hooliganism, anti-Arab militant hooliganism among several soccer clubs. Jonah, I want to ask about something you said before, which is that it seems that these attackers wanted to blend in with the demonstration, and they may have coordinated their attack. Why do you think that they were planning to blend in before launching their strike?
Well, you know, this is a popular. We're talking about a popular protest, and there are hundreds and thousands of people walking on the street together. The easiest way to carry out a pinpointed attack is to try and blend in and try and appear as if you're part of the protest. Now, I can tell you that despite the fact that they wore generic black clothes, black masks, and even were wielding black flags to appear as if they're part of the anti-government movement, there are different protesters from our side that identified these people and tried to alert the police and also alert the other protesters.
Were there police?
See by their body language.
Did you see police?
Police were walking together with the protest march throughout the streets of Tel Aviv, as if they were trying to keep the peace. But when the attack started, a number of protesters ran to the police and told them, look what's happening, we're being attacked, there's violence happening to the protesters. And the answer that they received by the police was call 100, which is the Israeli 911.
Yeah.
So there was a deliberate ignoring of the plea and the cry of the protesters that were telling them we're experiencing violence. And there's absolutely no excuse for that, because there were hundreds of police deployed throughout Tel Aviv and their job is to protect the freedom of expression and the freedom of demonstration.
We'll have to leave it. We'll have to leave it there, Jonah, because
not able to guarantee.
We're having a little issue with the connection there, and we're almost out of time. But first of all, Jonah, I'm glad that you are safe. Thank you so much for being with us for the last few minutes, alongside Yoav Borowitz, again, the senior sports correspondent with Kan News here in Israel. Gentlemen both, thank you so much.